Very cool. Who else has some wins to share?
I have some wins.
Miss Jannery, I like the hair.
Thanks. Tia just said the same thing. It's not financial wins is what I'm going to share. Just a few things. Like I had one of my SEO clients. I don't have many of them, but they're a big national company and they drive me crazy. But I've been building lead gens aside from it, nationwide for them. And I've been managing their website because we built it originally. And my win is that I don't have to manage their website anymore. They turned it into WordPress, and because they're very involved. So I guess what I'm saying is they're no longer SEO clients and they're fully just lead gen, and just feels so good to not be so involved in that perspective. Like they have so much control, and they're a client that they're very involved. Like I almost feel like an employee to them. And I'm so happy that things kind of just shifted with our meeting today, and just came off of that. And then another client of mine provided 8 different GMB addresses. So I'm excited about that.
Wow.
So.
Excellent. Yeah. It's always great switching a client from SEO to lead gen. It gives you a lot of your time back and takes a lot of pressure off. And long-term, I think your hourly rate goes way up when that happens. So congrats on that.
Yeah.
Very cool. You're welcome. All right. Who else has some wins?
What's up? Hey, I'll go really quick because I'll probably have to jump off.
Mr. Jarrett Miller, what's up, brother?
What's up, man? Well, it's June 30th and I'm still trying to work. No, I mean, we are scheduled to close the biggest month yet. So, kind of know numbers tomorrow, total though, but I mean, I'm hoping to hit over 20K this month with all the different businesses. So that's a really good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you were trying to target 15K for this month, right? And then now you've exceeded that and you're going over 20.
Yeah, so it was 15K. 15K last month was my goal, and then 17.5 was this month. So I mean, I'm past 17.5, but I got a check that I got to pick up tomorrow that gets written at the end of the month. So we'll see what that is. I'm assuming it's about 3,000, so it should put me right at that number.
These are sites that you built. These are lead gens that you own.
These are different lead gens, also an arbitrage business off of one of my lead gens that I started, right? So that brings me in a pretty good bit of money, and I do a little sales for a lumber company that I did a website build for. So I kind of just transitioned into using some of those leads and transferring those into making some sales calls for them and selling lumber from my house. So I make the phone calls, sell the leads, sell the lumber, and I make 3%. So.
Do you think long term it could work to have a salesperson in there? Would it still be profitable to pay a salesperson?
Yeah,
and have him make those calls?
Yeah, so actually that happened today. So we get a report. Son, I'm on the phone. We get a report of all the new contractors in the area that are building, right? So where they pulled permits from, and so today I had my 18-year-old daughter literally go through that report and just make phone calls. Because with the lumber market, especially being so far up and down, these people are waiting to pull the trigger. And so if I can get them to where I don't even have to do look at a set of plans, I'll take somebody else's set or somebody else's list and it's hey, just let me price it. And very little work to me. It's literally taking a list, getting it emailed to me, emailing it to the office, then taking that list, sending it back and saying, hey, this is what we can do your job for. If they buy, bam, I make 3%. So today, my daughter, between yesterday and today, she went through the entire list. And so, we got 5 or 6 sets of lists coming in tomorrow for next month, right? And so eventually what I'll do is probably pay somebody per set of plans. This is the plan, right? To pay somebody per set, regardless of what it is, and then have them do exactly what you said, to where I'm not fooling with it at all, but still bringing in that income. Because I mean, sometimes I make $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month on sets of plans. So even if I split the income with them, and you know, I could still say, hey, look, I'll give you 50%. You do the work. I'll use my connections, and we go from there. It keeps me more into the lead gen. So like that's all. That's the whole thing with the arbitrage too. Like I'm sitting here, I'm hiring people, trying to get a guy full time to where I can just really focus more on lead gen, because my end goal of 40K a month for this at the end of the year, I'm gonna have to be pushing out some lead gen, like increasing that lead gen money, right? So, but that's the goal. So like even though today though, like I fired a client yesterday, right? But I pretty much already replaced him today. Turning on the leads tomorrow for the client that I got rid of yesterday for a higher market, for a higher price. Basically did that twice. So I fired basically 2 clients that I kind of had been dealing with, but putting up with low money, and just kind of was like, you know, today was pretty much, hey, look, we're going in a different direction. So I'm pretty excited about that. I know it's not great to end the month losing 2 clients, but like I'll probably double my money by the end of next month by getting rid of them too.
Yeah, I mean, really these like month ending and beginnings are just kind of like arbitrary stuff that we made up, right? So what matters is moving your business in the right direction, regardless of what time period it is. And it sounds like you're getting rid of some problem clients and you're going to be replacing them. So Jarrett, has your mindset changed with getting rid of clients like in the last 6 months? Did it used to be something that was kind of like scary, and now it's like, hey man, this is just part of the business and I'm going to find someone?
Well, right. Yeah. I think it's the mindset obviously changes, because when I first started, it's like, man, oh, I got a $500 a month client, or I got even a $300, like, oh, great, I got somebody paying me for leads. And I think that's the hardest part. But then when you begin to realize like, hey, I can do this in any market, and there's really not a shortage of people that want work, right? It's just a matter of us figuring out, you know, how do I get that? Like, how do I connect with them? How do I find them? It's just crazy the way it works. But yeah, my mindset has completely changed as far as the way of like, oh man, I'm afraid to lose that $750 a month client, because I know that if I add gasoline to the fire, then I can take that $750 a month, add 2 GMBs possibly, and then make it a $1,500 a month client, maybe, you know? And so that's kind of the way, you know, I'm changing my thought process a little bit, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Jarrett, you're somebody that I look at and I feel like you're constantly learning new things, and not just the stuff that's on our calls. What are some of the other sources that you are using to level up? Are you reading books? Are you in other groups? Like what do you think is really helping you right now?
Well, like I do, like, so I'm just in JK, and I'm in, you know, your group, right? But like I read books, like I've read, you know, the EMyth. I've read Can't Stop Me Now by David Goggins. I read this month I've read what is it, with Jocko, the book of the Marine sniper.
Yeah, I read that one too. It's ownership, like extreme ownership.
Yeah,
right?
extreme ownership, right? So like those are things I just read this month, and constantly on the motivation, constantly like just trying to figure out how to run a business. And I've ran a business before,
you're
right?
pretty much constantly plugged in. I know that you're like I can see you got a kid in the back seat, and I imagine you're spending some time being a father, right? And you're doing some of this, but when you have these kind of like breaks in between it, you're reading or listening to audiobooks or listening to podcasts and stuff, right? You're always trying to find a way to keep moving forward.
Right, and I'm looking, and I'm keeping up with what's going on, like, you know, the GMBs and what's happening with the algorithms. I'm not going down deep rabbit holes, right? But like, you know, and honestly, I'm not worried about. I try not to sweat the small stuff, right? Like losing a client or because there's just too much stuff going on. There's too much other ways to make money, and so that's that mind shift change you talked about, right? Like where before you'd be so worried about it, but you know, you tell people like there's just money everywhere, right? There's just niches everywhere. There's opportunities everywhere. I'm always looking for new, like you know, I have more things I want to go into than I have time, right? And so I try to strategize and say, okay, where am I at? And always leveling up, like, you know, just going through old, like, you know, you and I had a Zoom meeting, you know, in December, and I rewatched that thing today, and I'm like, oh, I didn't implement the strategy that you know, Patric talked about, and so now I got to implement this thing, right, to help my business move forward, because, you know, it's just those little bitty small steps, I think, you know, and I'm not where I could be. Like, I have a foundation probably for $60,000 or $70,000 a month, right? So, like, I'm definitely doing well, but like, I know that I could be doing better, like, without building another site for the next 6 months. And so that's kind of where I'm focused at, is like, okay, take what I have now and really just put some gasoline on the fire and go, and have all the tools I need just to get it done.
Yeah, awesome, man. It's been really cool, because you and I, we've kind of been connected. I know that when we ran that lead generated contest in like November, December, that's really when we started connecting more, and watching you go from there to here. I remember, I think it was you, it may have been Adam, but it was like, hey, over like these last 16 weeks, I've made $14,000. And that was like a huge deal. Was that you or was that Adam?
That's probably Adam.
Okay.
But I mean, both of him, I mean, he's doing great as well. I mean, it's just,
You guys have kind of been on the same trajectory, right? Where you both are doing some arbitrage, you both are building lead gens. It's kind of, it seems like somebody lit a fire inside you. And since that mindset shift, things have just gone a different direction. And I'll tell you, it can take a long time to make a decision that, like, once you've made the decision, that decision takes 1 second, but it can be like 6 months or years before you get to the spot where you're like, I know exactly what I need to do, and I'm motivated, and I've just like had enough of not living the life I want, or having the freedom that I want. And then that decision's made. And then from that point on, everything is different. And for me, just kind of looking from the outside in, knowing what I know, it seems like you made that decision somewhere around November or the beginning of December. Is that accurate? Did you feel that shift?
yeah. And I think, you know, I was very disciplined, but it was a matter of like trusting the process, right? But also to sit there and learning all those little techniques to sit there and say, like, okay, now we're going into July, working myself backwards. What do I have to do to, not, instead of hoping that it would happen, right? Like literally scripting it out to happen. Sit there and say, like, okay, now next month, you know, if I do hit 20 grand, right, this month with tomorrow's numbers, so what's next month look like? I need to look at everything and say, okay, if I push myself, you know, should I shoot for 25K, right? Like, you know, it's definitely not going to be 17.5 again, right? So what do I got to do to make 25? And then going backwards. But you're right, it's about making that decision, but it's also about plugging in every single day to know that I ain't got everything I need to be the person I want to be, right? Like, I'm not a millionaire yet, and I don't have the mindset of a millionaire.
That's right.
I had the mindset of a person who made $20,000 a month. So
right, you're exactly where you should be, right? You right. Like all of us are. We're a product. We're an average of the decisions, and you know, I think monetarily, it's not important if you're a millionaire or a multimillionaire, but if you decide that the lifestyle that you want, that's going to be required, there's a lot of you're probably going to have to become a different person, right? And that doesn't mean that you need to be like greedy or anything like that. It could mean that you need to be more empathetic, right? It could mean that you need to be more disciplined with your finances and the way that you spend your time, right? So, you know, for those of you guys that are spending like a couple hours a day watching TV, when it's time to go to bed, do you ever sit there and say, you know, I'm really glad I watched TV today. I'm so glad I got that 3 hours of TV. And nobody, I think for the most part, people don't say that. But when you go and you know, maybe you study another language, you read some books, you educate yourself, you exercise, and you feel like that you're, you know, you're in a slightly better position than you were yesterday. Like, I think when your head hits the pillow on days like that, it feels great. And if you add up enough of those, and you can kind of look back and say, man, I've made this like huge progress here. You know, there was a time, I've told this before, in when I was playing poker for a living, I didn't know how to be a software engineer. I didn't know how to do this stuff. I didn't know how to build a website. I just signed up for online classes. I bought a second computer and hooked it up to a TV, and I followed the basics of like, here's how to build a web page. Like, it wasn't in WordPress. I was just using like basic HTML. And like, here's how to like set up a database and all the stuff now that it's, you know, way more advanced than it was at the time. But I was going through that stuff every day and learning. And then looking back on it, like, I would have never been able to build lead generated had I not gone through that stuff. I haven't done a lot of the coding inside lead generated, but I would have never been able to manage the people on the team. Like, it just would have been impossible if I didn't have that software set. Like, I don't know how long this project would have taken, how much money it would have cost. It would have been a complete train wreck, though. I can promise that. But that was something that I've learned, and you know, it was just a collection of days going through it. So some of this stuff can seem insurmountable when we get started, right? And you know, it can be as easy as just making progress on a daily basis. You know, I've been a runner my entire life. I've always been jogging and running since I'm little. And you know, one of the things is like, there's a lot of pain in running. If you're like pushing it, you're trying to, Jarrett, you know, I don't know if you've continued with this new habit, but one of the things they tell you is like, when you're like hitting that wall, it's like, if you run through a neighborhood, you want to pick out the next mailbox, right? And just focus on that mailbox and then go to the next mailbox, right? And I think that's a really good analogy for life, where it's like, you don't need to focus on $60,000 a month when you have $500 a month come in. Just get to 1,000, right? And then get to 1,500, right? And keep leveling up. And it won't be so discouraging that you're not where you want to be. There's a lot of frustration and stress that comes, and a lot of it is when we realize we're not where we want to be or where we think we should be. But you are where you should be. You are a product of your results, right? That's why you are. Like, whatever you're whatever you are financially, whatever you are with your relationships outside of business, whatever you are with like your physical fitness, you're a product of like, you know, obviously genetics is playing a part of this, but you know, if you're not where you want to be, you're going to have to like take those steps. And, you know, we all have those, right? I certainly do too. There's a lot of places I'm not where I want to be, you know? So I want to start that out with some inspiration. Jarrett, I appreciate you always being willing to share and kind of like talk to us about what's going on, because it's been super cool to watch you just every week finding a way. You know, you've got your kid in the back, you're jumping on the call. You can't be on for the whole call, but you're gonna make an effort. You're gonna watch the replay and do whatever it is that you need to do to keep moving forward. And that's part of what we say when getting out of your comfort zone. It's like, you know, there's things that we don't want to do. It's not always like, get out of my comfort zone. I'm not comfortable speaking in front of people, so I'll go speak in front of people. Some of it is like, I'm tired. I don't want to do this right now, but you know that it needs to be done. So that's getting out of your comfort zone too, making sure that, like, you know, sometimes you got to walk through mud a little bit. And it's just like, hey, there's a brighter side on the other end, right? Or whatever. So thank you, Jarrett. Thank you for sharing that. Who else has some wins?
Not really seeing much, but a little bit to add on to that mentality is like, you know, Dan Sullivan in his coaching, he coaches entrepreneurs, and he says, instead of looking so far ahead, you know, take a look back and see where you came from every once in a while, instead of just focusing on where you need to go. And this, like, the horizon is always going to be there, right? You're always going to have this big, you know, audacious goal in front of you that can be intimidating and overwhelming. But, you know, if you just take a little look behind you, like just since I got in JK 2.5 years ago, I look behind me and I'm like, holy cow, look at all the new skills that I've learned. Look at all the new relationships that I have. Look at all the new abundance that I have. Look at all these things that I'm learning and growing, all these different ways in my life. It's amazing. Like, I couldn't even imagine making that much progress. If I were back there looking at where I am now, it would have been overwhelming. And I'm not sure that I would have had the courage to build all these things and get to where I am. It's not exactly where I thought I would be. Like Patric's saying, he kind of accumulated skills along the way that led him to where he is. And it's the same for all of us, right? We don't always get to exact place where we want to be. But, if you have like a broader overarching goals, like I want to learn and grow on a consistent basis, and I want to continue to improve my life, boom, there you go. You look back and like, wow, like here I am, right? So maybe take a look back every once in a while. So that's all we have in the chat right now. Patric, the Facebook chat's a little quiet right now, but it's, what would you like to talk about?
I'll share.
What would you like to share,
Hey, Sarah, how's it going?
Hey, good. How are you guys?
Good, yeah.
So good. So last week was Costco, and today I'll be in the car heading to Asheville. I'm taking. So I do have a couple little wins to share. One, first, as far as dedicating time and life to business, I'm taking a solo trip, and I'm going over to Asheville. I'm taking 3 monitors with me. I'm building a website, my primary digital marketing website. Because I'm not totally selling with confidence yet because I don't have my site done. And so I want to get mine done first. So I'm doing that. So I'll be gone for 3 days and working on some things and making a couple videos, and excited about that. But the win that will probably be shared next week is the conversation I had with the creator owner of the CVI, the Core Values Index, Taylor Protocols. This man, I cannot wait. So I recorded the interview last week, and he normally talks like 45 minutes to somebody. We were on for like 90 minutes, and he's bringing me on as one of their coaches. And don't worry, Patric, I'm not going to try to poach any people from you. I'm not doing anything like that. But what's really amazing about Core Values Index is how helpful it will be for business owners in lead generated. So as you guys go out and connect with other business owners, when you share something like this assessment that many of you have already taken, it really helps businesses and their HR departments, whoever they have staffed, to be lined up with where their skill set really is. And so I'll share with you some statistics next week. I don't have it all pulled together yet, but they're showing companies getting like 71% growth in sales, double, like 200%, like because somebody who hates their job is on a creative team but really has accounting skills, when they put that person back in accounting, or bring somebody in accounting who's more creative and put them over in something creative, like when people are aligned with their values and their beliefs and where their strengths are, like people just take off. And so this is something that I'll get some tips and tools, strategies tomorrow, because I have a training session with the owner tomorrow.
Sarah,
So
how do
I'll
you
bring
get business owners to fill something. Like I have problems getting them just fill out a questionnaire to tell me what the hell they do in their business. Like,
Well, I would do an interview with them. Okay, so I'm using the Eugene Review strategy, like interviewing business owners to highlight them. So even if you're not doing that strategy, to tell a business owner you want to, highlight their business on something, or like this would have to be somebody you want a relationship with or you currently do.
So they're not existing clients then.
Oh, okay. Can I talk to you about that next week? The training's tomorrow. I was supposed to be in my car 4 hours ago, and I want to have more information before I share anything, any strategies. My mind is really not present in that at the moment.
Yeah. Totally. I 100% agree with what you're saying. You can get organized with it and come back to us. Maybe we can throw a video about it in the group. One of the things though that this really, the core of what she's talking about here is this is emotional intelligence is what this is, right? Being able to adjust how you communicate and how you interact with somebody based on their personality and what's going to be most effective for them, and what is going to motivate them. Certain things are good, like certain people are going to be motivated by some sort of like reward, and other people are going to be motivated by a challenge, right? So you need to understand this stuff. And they say that after your IQ goes beyond 120, there's no correlation between additional success and additional IQ points. But one of the strongest correlations that there is for success is emotional intelligence, right? That's has a stronger correlation than IQ. to success. And this
Right.
is exactly what she's talking about, is like being able to understand people, right? So this is something that I've spent a tremendous amount of time not studying this like personality type stuff, but just like learning about people, right? And trying to
Mhm.
understand people. This is like playing poker for a living. This was the central point of the whole
Right,
game,
right.
is like trying to understand people, right? So I found that those skill sets have translated very well, not only to try to find new clients, but also with like managing my team. And then, you know, moving into this realm where it's been a lot more coaching and talking to people, it seems like a lot of this, like that base skill set has just been advantageous in so many different, even like relating to my friends and my wife and, you know, all the personal relationships I have, having that base level emotional intelligence, and like it's really valuable. So when we spoke a few weeks ago about information stacking, this is one that I would highly recommend. It's just like spending the time to you know, spend a little bit of time studying psychology, spend a little bit of time understanding personalities and relating to people. You know, it's something that we all can improve on. And you know, I can sit here and say, hey, this is something that I'm strong with, but I'll tell you what, it's something that I actively work on, and I'm always thinking about, is like, what is this person thinking? Like, what's it like to be in their shoes? It's
And what
real easy
drives
for
their
me.
behavior, right? Why do
Yeah,
they say the things
exactly.
they do and act the way they do? And by the way, it's, I don't know, it feels like 100 degrees over here. So I'm a little sweaty, but I did for that course that I created for Facebook, I did a training on personality colors. So it's not core values index, it's something more basic. I'd be happy to come and do it here, because even on a basic level, like red, blue, yellow, green. Red is somebody who's a driver, a business owner, a CEO, somebody who's driven by challenges and competition. And then there's the blue personality. That person is totally outgoing, energetic. They walk in the room and they just light up the room. They're the ones who are driven by like a prize or a trip or a vacation. You know, they're just outgoing, vivacious. They usually wear bright colors. Then there's the yellow personality, and that's the person who's more like crunchy nutty granola, kind of laid back and calm and like, whatever, man, you know, like they're like the calm people, but they're the best people to have as a best friend, because you can confide in them, you can trust them, and you could tell them anything. They've always got your back. And then the green personality, I think we have a lot of green personalities in internet marketing. Those are people who are driven by details. They like spreadsheets, and they're the engineer analytical brain. So the reason all this matters is not only to know what your own personality is and what gets you excited, but also to talk to, when you go to talk to business owners, sometimes it's just that little connection with them. And as you speak with them, you'll figure out what their personality type is. Sometimes you'll know just by what kind of business they're in, right? If you're going to talk to an architect or an engineer, well, they're probably that green personality. And there's some nuances and some things like of how to, like what words to use when speaking with them. And it's not just industry terms, but it's the way you frame what you say that will get them to open up to you, connect with you, and be more willing to work with you, right? I mean, people do
Yeah,
business with
yeah,
ways and
absolutely.
know, like, and trust.
Right.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
yep.
So Sarah, what I'd love is like, let's get like a sort of training video that we can put in as a separate video into the group. I've got
Okay.
a number of like features that I want to go over in the software that I've been getting some tickets on and stuff like this. And I'm not sure how long my internet is going to last today. So we're already at 37 minutes.
Okay. All right.
So
Well, then
I
I'll stop.
love
I'll
that
stop
you're,
talking. Yeah.
yeah, no, I love that you're sharing this. It's really, really valuable. This is a subject that we could dive into for like probably hours. It's something that not only are you interested in, I'm very interested as well. And I certainly appreciate you sharing this. I
Okay.
want to break this off into like a separate module though, instead of
That's
the,
fine. Okay. And then the other thing is the prospecting. And I sent you in Facebook Messenger about an hour ago, maybe, some strategies for doing an interview with a business owner, and how you get them to open up, and how you ask your questions, and why you ask your questions, and the psychology behind the interview, like that kind of stuff. I don't know why, it just fascinates me. So I could do a separate training on that. Like however I can help. So I know that like people just have to know how to connect with
Yeah.
another human. And after 12 years, 10, 12 years in network marketing where I didn't belong, but I learned a lot, that like that's something I developed. So I'm happy to share that. And I'll stop talking.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Okay. We certainly appreciate it, Sarah. I know that you got to jump in the car. It looks like you're in a beautiful nature area. So, but thank you for that. So what I want to do is I'm going to jump in and I'm going to share my screen and go over a couple of things that I think people have been struggling with. So we've been getting some messages here and there. I know that we have some kind of updates that are going to be changing things in some of these areas. One of the things that I want to kind of highlight is our heat map stuff. Okay, so I know that we've had some issues with the location not being correct. And can someone just, Jeff, can you give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen, right? Cool. All right, right on. All right, so we've had a couple issues with location not being correct. So I'm going to kind of show you, this is our development server that we use. So this is not one that is available to other people, but I'm going to show you what's coming here. We've got a couple fixes for how things are going to work. So you can see I'm on cell phone internet right now, so it's loading a little bit slowly. But one of the things I want to show you guys is we have this new button down here that says make this map position the default for this GMB. Okay, and we also have the option to move a map, right? So you can put in an address, a city, or a zip code and move it right away. We've had issues where Google has kind of changed the way a few things work, and it's resulted in us not always being able to accurately predict where the GMB is. And I think by combining these two different things, it's going to make it a lot easier. So let me give you an example. So I've got Bob's Bear removal here. This one accurately works. It pulls Tahoe up. That's right where our GMB is, right? So that's good. So let's pretend that for whatever reason it was, I wanted this. I wanted Beverly Hills. So what I can do is I can just type that in and it's going to move the map to that location, right? So you can, this is pulling directly from Google Maps. It should work all over the world, right? So whatever I put in here, if I want to put in Kansas City, or if I want to put in an address, right? I can put all that stuff in here. So for instance, if I do 600 Pennsylvania Avenues, right? So that's going to go directly to that location. And then what I can do is I can make this the default map position. So every time I load this GMB, right? So I've got it on the White House now. So right now we have it. So you have to start the heat map to save it. So this, I believe, will be coming tomorrow. So any of you guys that have been struggling with that kind of positional issue with the GMB, this is going to be one of our solutions for dealing with that. So it's something that we struggled at for a while. Additionally, Google has changed the way, and for certain GMBs, I know that a number of you guys have seen kind of weird results where it may be like all ones all over the map, and then like 3 or 4 locations are 20, right? So like what's going on there with that? Well, the way we've done things with the heat map have resulted in inconsistency. What was once consistent has become inconsistent with some changes that Google's made. So we're in the process. I'm hoping on Monday to have those changes to kind of redo a little bit of how the heat map is calculating our results to get kind of restore us to the accuracy that we had before. So we've already got the solution. I have my developers working on it, so that will be coming very soon. So one of the things that I wanted to mention with you guys that I've kind of seen some questions about how this works. And I just want to go over this because I know someone on my team, and we're using this thing within our agency. Someone on my team wasn't aware of some of the functionality that's in here, which is telling me that probably a lot of you guys are not aware as well. Okay, so this can be really powerful with our sorting and grouping when you combine some of these things. So for instance, the advanced search here is really good because what you can do is you can locate your actual GMB, right? So you can say, whatever the GMB is, it can be located. And then sometimes, many times, if you follow our advice from these calls, a lot of your companies are going to have more than one GMB, right? So in that situation, let me hop back over to this one now. Okay, so in this situation, if you have more than one GMB, you can search by company, you can search by with the GMB name, by keywords. Our tagging system, you can add tags to any of these. So the tags essentially are like, give you the ability to make your own folders, right? Where you can say, hey, I want these things, whatever criteria is important to you, you can make those tags and then you can sort by or search by the. Jeff, can you mute? Oh, I got it. It's Dylan. There we go. Okay, cool. All right, so so that's one important thing. Another thing to pay attention to is the group by. So this can get really powerful. Let's say I want to group by GMB. Okay, so what this is going to do when you use this group by feature, you can see that the GMBs are now grouped in these separate groups. So you can see the average works on a group level. So one of the things that we're doing in our agency is I have 3 managers, and each manager has, let's say, like 40 or 50 sites that they're responsible for managing. So a percentage of those, maybe like 10 or 15, are classified as our priority 1 sites. Okay. And we have a meeting every Monday, and they go through, and we're going to go through our priority 1, priority 2, and priority 3 sites. So I tell them, like, I want about 80% of your time spent on your priority 1 sites, and then 20% kind of split between the priority 2 and priority 3 sites. So one of the things they have to report to me on a weekly basis is the heat map average for a GMB, because we have a lot of different GMBs, and I want the heat map average for our companies too. So using the spreadsheet that we shared with you guys, I've actually altered it, and I'll share it with you guys again. It's kind of like our weekly reporting stuff. So we're doing it inside of the program that I talked to you guys about, Infinity. So Infinity is great. I don't have it prepared to share with you now, but I get a weekly rundown of where we are with these different projects, and the way we have the spreadsheet set up will kind of highlight the deficiencies that exist on a weekly basis. And then what our managers do is they propose to me what their plan is for the week with this spreadsheet in front of us. So we're all like on a Skype call, right? A group call, we're sharing screens, and I'm looking at their priority sites, and I'm looking at them saying, hey, like we only have like 1 GMB for this company. So that goal may be, hey, I'm going to try to like get some more GMBs. And just to give you guys kind of like a frame of reference, I ran a contest for my managers in the month of May, and it was who could get the most GMBs. And there was a cash prize for the person that got the most. Between the 3 of them, we got 53 GMBs live. Okay, I know that you guys are struggling to get GMBs live, but in 30 days, we got 53 GMBs live. Okay, and then I've run a second contest in June where it's like, hey, how many GMB you like to win this prize? You need to get like 10 GMBs live for this company during June, right? So that contest ends today, right? So I just want to like kind of give you guys a frame of reference to how we're doing things. Okay, so I'm going to scroll through this a little bit more. For whatever reason, these are all 20s. Okay, so I wasn't sure if you guys were aware. I don't hear a lot of questions about this stuff. I think this functionality is really, really valuable, and for kind of determining where you are with things. So I don't know, my internet is running a little slow off the cell phone while doing a video stream. So basically, the strategy that I would look to do is create your keyword list in your heat map so that you can run your heat map for, at least like 5 to 7 keywords. Okay. Then you've got them. Now you've got a bunch of different heat maps for the same company, right? You can see this is like, here you go. Here's one, Bob's Bear Removal. Okay. So for whatever reason, over time, this has changed. But imagine these were for 3 different keywords or 15 different keywords. I could use the filters up at the top in the advanced search to say, show me like the last 30 days for this GMB. And then I could use the group by feature to group this and understand. Here's one, Bedford Flooring Services. So you can see I've got flooring company and Bedford Flooring Services, and this comes out to an average of 3.3. So if I had, 7 or 8 keywords, different keywords in this, then I could really have an understanding of where I am in this market for this exact GMB. And then I could start to tailor my efforts towards improving, you know, one keyword or another keyword, right? And just kind of using it that way. Another feature that we've got some questions about is the compare feature. So to do this, what you're going to do is you're going to check these check boxes, and then you're just going to go up to this actions area here and say compare. So we're going to be adding in some additional bulk actions, but it's great to be able to get this kind of side by side. So there's a few different scenarios that I think this would be valuable for. It's like, one is comparing yourself to your competitors. Another is going to like comparing yourself to yourself at different time periods, right? For the same keyword. So you can do that when you start combining the filters within the heat map and then the group by features and using the compare. So I want to make sure that you guys understand the dynamic nature of this tool and how to best use it, right? So once we have this, now I've got a side by side. I can see for like, this was from 5 months ago. You know, for bed flooring services, I've got all the statistical information on this exact map next to it on this one. So this is, not quite sure. Maybe we maybe used a different area, a different zoom level. I don't know why that's different. But I just want to point out kind of how that's working, because I think some people have struggled to understand that. We've got a lot of changes coming for this, just small tweaks. We've got a timeline feature that we're going to be putting in here to kind of make comparing it to yourself over time easier. And then I'm looking to do some kind of GMB level reporting. So on our weekly call this last Monday, we spent quite a bit of time going over the heat map, and some of the people on our team are requesting some like reporting features where we can kind of see a lot of the stuff. Maybe we'll start having numbers like top 3 and having some different graphs, top 3 percentage, this type of thing, right? So we're actively working on this. I think there's a lot more to add to this. We've kind of been sidetracked with some of the other pieces that we're going to be putting in here. Some of those I'm just going to run through real quick. So, oops, let's go back over to this one here. So I mentioned this. This is our testing area. So we have our pipeline system that we're getting ready to push out. So the pipeline is going to allow you to kind of set these pipelines up. And then eventually what's going to happen is you'll be able to have your clients can use these pipelines. This is going to go hand in hand with our campaign builder stuff. Before I move on to this, I kind of went through that heat map stuff pretty fast. Is there any questions? Anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns about any of the heat map stuff that I just covered or other stuff?
Yes, please, Patrick. With the keywords, I'm just getting into the keywords and how they search and what to do with them. But just yesterday, I had 2 interesting things happen that I'm not sure whether it should have happened or not. I've got I put in 2, one with 10 keywords and another with 11 keywords, and as I click go, I suddenly got 10 different maps. Is that what's supposed to happen?
That's right. Yeah. So let's talk about exactly how this works. So you can see, I'm just going to run through this, Mark, and then I think this is going to answer your question. You can see I've got roofing, roofer near me, or roofing company, and roofers near me. So I've got 4 different keywords here. So what this is doing is I get to choose a place. So let's say I choose, we'll choose this place. Actually, I'll do this. Another cool thing, I don't know if you guys realize this. Oh, wait a second. Did it not make
really getting into the grids and the keywords at the minute to try and get a baseline. And I'm going to use the flip function to go and prospect from the list that the flip function uses.
Right. So each keyword that you use is going to, that's going to be a completely different result, right? So if I search for like whatever it is, like roofer near me or roofing company, those Google has determined the order of the websites based on so many different factors that are related on some level to those keywords, right? So it's a completely different search, and we can't put all those keywords into like one heat map, right? So it's going to run multiple heat maps when you do this. So for roofing, we saw that there was like 4 or 5 keywords, right? So I'll just do a search here, roofer near me. Okay. All right. So you can see I'm in Myrtle Beach right now. Okay. So this Monarch Roofing, right? So if I click on this Monarch Roofing, I need to get their map URL, right? So the way that we do that is we can click the share button. So just so you guys know, if anyone's new, this is not the map URL, but it will lead us there. So what we're going to do is we're going to paste I copied it, and I'm going to paste this up here, and it's just going to redirect to their actual map URL. We just got to give it like a few seconds to redirect a few times. You can see it says share up here in my address bar. That is not it. So we're going to wait for that to change. You're going to see it change in a second. So now we get to benefit from my slow internet speed, is that you guys got enough time to see this thing change a few times. There we go. Okay, so that is the map URL. So now what I can do is I can come back over here and I can paste this in here. And then I've got my keyword list for this roofing company. So now it's going to run a heat map for each one of these, right? So I can say that it's like, I'm going to set it to 1 mile. I'm going to set it to 13 by 13 so that I get the largest grid, right? And if we wanted to kind of, oh yeah, we don't have that in here yet. So then when I click on start, just like Mark said, it's going to create a new heat map. It's going to queue up a new heat map for each one of those keywords so that it can get that result. So the power of this is not the individual heat map. The power of this is when you start combining it with what we were just talking about a few minutes ago. So get like 6 or 7 of these things. So you know how you're ranking for all these different keywords, and then get the group average of those, right? So it's like ranking well for one keyword is awesome, but to really blow things up for a client, what you need to do is you need to rank for 6 or 7 different keywords. So this design on this came out of a necessity for our business, right? So I'm just going to clear this stuff out of here. So I'll reset this and get it back to you. So you can see it's set up, Mark. So it's set up like however that was, like 4 or 5. You can see, okay, so we've got 4 of these going, 1 for each of the keywords. Does that make sense why that's happening now, Mark?
Yes, it does. Yeah, I was just unclear before when you said you could put in multiple keywords. I thought that's great because some guys in our research we're doing, they're really strong on really strong on one topic, but they got next to nothing else. Even though they say they do all this other stuff, the keywords aren't in there, and they've got nothing else there to show.
Right. You know, I don't think I have like a really well-ranking site that produces a lot of leads. Let me rephrase that. I don't think I have a site or a GMB that produces a lot of leads where all I'm ranking is for one keyword. I don't, maybe that happens for some people, but I don't know that that's ever happened for me. Whenever I dive into like a site that's doing really well, we're ranking really well for lots of keywords, right? Maybe we're first for like 5 or 6, 7, 10 keywords. And, you know, people are going to search so many different ways, right? Ultimately, there's probably hundreds of ways people are going to search for things with just small variations. And a lot of this, you're going to pick up ancillary terms. Like if you're ranking well for roofer near me or roofing, then you're probably going to rank well for roofing company. They're going to go hand in hand. When, like, especially as you start to get more of them. Like if you're ranking for, it's probably harder to rank for 7 keywords than it is to rank for 14, because once you pick up 7 or 8, you're going to pick up a bunch of other ones too. It's kind of like that antenna. You put that antenna in the ground, you're going to start getting a signal for other things as well. So when you start combining the features of this is where the real power. This is you got to use this tool in a way to shape it so that you can get the data that you need and then make the correct adjustments. Okay, so it's not just like let's run a heat map for one keyword and see how we're doing. Let's run it for 10 and then let's look at how we're ranking for those. Now let's go and apply the strategies. Okay, so I want to improve my ranking for roofing company, right? So maybe I'm going to get some reviews that mention roofing company in the review, or I'm going to reply to those reviews, right? And I'm going to have pictures on my GMB and my website that mention some of this stuff. Maybe I even find a way to get it into a GMB name, right? Maybe it's Mark's Roofing Company, right? So like you've got to get this information. This is not going to solve the problem for you on its own. You need to be able to analyze this and then come up with a game plan. This is just the first step, right? And it's a great first step to give you that type of information, but the value comes in from making the correct adjustments based on getting a collection of this data and not just looking at one keyword, right? Does that make sense, everybody? Is that?
Yeah. So what's scary is suddenly I've got 10 maps on the one topic. Just the amount of data that's going to be there and the amount of work required to sift through it. If I've got 40 things that I'm currently looking at the minute, and there's going to be 400 heat maps, I'm going to drown.
Yeah, well, right. And when you get yourself in that situation too, like that might seem like a lot of heat maps right now, but when you have 400 that you're running, then financially you're in a lot better situation because you've got 400, right? So like it kind of goes hand in hand, but what I'm working to, I'm in that exact same situation right now. Is like we've got, I don't know, probably 600 or 700 GMBs now, and how do I manage all these? So the way that this tool is going or moving, a lot of it is based on what I hear from you guys and the users, like where I see you guys struggling, and how this tool started was like what we needed it as we scaled our agency, right? How do I manage 600 or 700 GMBs and get the information I need delivered to me in the right format and the right ways? And that's what we're working towards, because not only am I trying to make this product better for you guys, I'm also trying to make it better for myself and for my agency, because like we have a full-blown marketing agency too, right? So how do we get all the information we need, right? And so I think that a big part of the reason that this software has got the response that it has received so far is because of that issue right there. It's like we're in this industry just like you guys are, trying to solve these same problems. So we're definitely moving in that direction though, Mark. So I'm thinking about it on a daily basis of like, how can we get this information in the format that we need, right? And having, some of the ideas I've got is like having like this, a lot of the heat map results built into your GMB page, showing this stuff on a company level, right? So having, we're going to probably make the all companies page be a lot more informative on this stuff. We're in the process now of connecting Google Analytics, right? Of giving you guys that ability, just like you can manage your GMBs, you can start to bring in the Google Analytics data. So we need a page where we can see like our GMB data, our calls, our leads, all this different stuff, as well as the traffic to our site. And then, I'm going through Google Analytics courses right now on like, what is the best information available? Because I personally believe that Google Analytics is a phenomenal tool. I think it's amazing. And what I want to do is I want to get this information from it. What do we need as local lead gen marketers? What kind of data that we need? And then put it right here so it's easy to access, and then be able to look at the stuff and say, hey, your bounce rate is too high, right? There's something wrong with your page. Maybe it's loading too slowly, but to be able to get that kind of feedback and then make adjustments, I think is going to be huge for us. And obviously there's leveling up with understanding Google Analytics better, but we shouldn't be guessing, right? We have data. We just don't know how to take advantage of it. So that's kind of, as we move forward, these calls are going to focus on some of that stuff and how to implement it. And we're going to have dashboards built in here that will show you this information so you can see when you maybe have an issue, right?
Okay, fantastic. Cool. Thank you so much. Another quick question.
You're welcome.
Yep. How many heat maps do you get a month, or is it reload every month? Does it? So if I'm suddenly going to be pulling out hundreds just by yeah.
Yeah. So it depends on your plan. Like there's different amounts, and then you have the ability to purchase more at a pretty discounted rate. At like once you run out of credits, like up here in the let me go back to new. In this top right corner, it'll tell you, like you can see, you won't have this many credits. I was lucky to know the owner here. So I've got 5,000 heat map credits, right? But you'll have some and then it will reset each month. And if this number gets
Okay.
to 0, this start heat map will turn to a purchase button where you can purchase like, I can't remember what the pricing is, but I think you can buy like 100 of them for $19 or something like that. So, yeah, like, you don't need to run them like, every day or anything like that.
No,
But,
no.
maybe every week or 10 days, like you want to be checking in to see. And, one of the things that we're going to be doing that has come up with what our managers need for my company is like the reporting. So what I'd like to do is have, like, that's why we built the scheduling in here, is so you can make a schedule for these and then have them run with all your stuff. And right now, I don't really like how our schedule's set up. We've got it set up to do this kind of weekly thing, but you've only got the option to run it like every 7 days or every 30 days. So we have an update that's coming up here. It's going to allow you to choose exactly how often you want to run it, and you choose a start date. But what I want is, when this runs, I want it to be able to give you some reporting and maybe even an alert. So let's say that you set a threshold that the heat map is changed by more than like 15% for your average, right? Then maybe that triggers an alert that, hey, you did something that potentially had a really good effect on the heat map because your average has improved, or maybe it's fallen off. Maybe there's some kind of issue here, and you want to be notified as quickly as possible. Just like when our GMB gets suspended, we want to be notified and be able to take action, right? Maybe somebody marked our GMB as closed, so it's not showing up on any searches, right? So like maybe a competitor's come in and they're like, we just need this information. So that's kind of the idea, is like, well, it'll give you a report and kind of email you that report. And then some of these reports, what if we had it so it could be sent to you and then you could click an approve button. And once you click approve, then it gets sent to the client with your branded information in there. So these are a lot of the things that are on my mind with where we want to take this platform related to the heat map.
Absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for your time, then.
Yeah, absolutely, Mark. Cool. Do we have any other questions on any of this stuff?
I do.
Oh,
What's up, man?
Before my phone dies. It's GMB related. Oh,
Sure.
okay. By the way, Pat, I've got to say, man, this tool is freaking phenomenal. I know I'm underusing it, like I should be underutilizing it. And like those multiple map runs on the different keywords, I've used that a couple times already to show in the screencast. Like there's a lot of companies that do like different services that are completely different, and so like they think they're the shit until I run that heat map on all their services and like, look, you guys are in the red on every single thing, But like my question is, I had a client, he was pretty new. I ran into him like maybe last month before last, and I built out a Legion for him. I use my local guide's Gmail to claim a GMB, and we use his old address to create a new GMB for him. The one that he helped me set up is the main one with the main phone number. Okay. Well, for whatever reason, he decided to pull out before he tried to pay. He had to pay me tomorrow, and he's saying he said he contacted Google to take back the GMB. Well, I went into it today, I updated some information, I accepted all the changes. Would it be possible for him to take that GMB away from me?
Probably not. I mean, I don't
Like,
know the dynamics of.
People can claim, like, they're like, hey, claim this, and then they'll make somebody send a postcard, right?
Well, so the times that you can claim it, to my understanding, is like Google, if a business is around and it has a lot of citations, and this could be a hint for some of you guys that are trying to set up GMBs, but if Google is pretty sure that there's a business out there, then it will just like automatically create a GMB. Okay. So when it does that, then those are unclaimed. Okay. So you can't go and click on one that somebody set up and just say, claim this. It's just kind of like real estate. Like you can't walk in someone's front door and just be like, I claim this house. Right. It's the same thing, right? Like if you've gone through and you own it, you could go and look at it on your own. Like you could open up incognito and go and look at the GMB and make sure that it doesn't say claim this business. right? But unless he's got access to the login of the GMB, he's
He
probably
doesn't.
gonna be able to like take over it, right?
We use his old address. He said it was his old address, but he was able to accept the postcard, you know? I think like his ex-girlfriend
Yeah,
lives
but getting
there
the
or something like
postcard,
that.
yeah, getting the postcard and claiming ownership are two different things, right? Like we mail postcards to people on Craigslist all the time. They have no chance of being able to take over my GMB just because they live there, right? I've got the login to the account. The
So it's
login is a
whoever
part of
has
Gmail.
okay,
Yeah,
control of the Gmail.
like, and Gmail obviously is like really secure with how they do things. So it's a really uphill battle for someone to try to steal someone's GMB like that. If you know, if, like you've already set it up, you've got it like, you know, all the login information. It's going to be really hard for him to just like swipe that thing.
Okay. That's all I wanted to know, you know. But besides
Cool,
that, you
man.
know, you and Jarrett, everybody like is doing big things. Like you guys inspire me, you know. Like I've been in like maybe I got in September in 2018, and like you see guys like Jarrett like fucking hit the ground running, and they're doing like all this stuff. You know, it's good to see that because it's like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah, that's
That's
right.
what
I
I
mean,
ask myself.
yeah, absolutely, man. It's you know, I talked about this just a little bit last week. We all have different starting lines, right? So it's good to compare yourself. It's human nature to compare yourself to people, and but like, and maybe that's good to get you to the next spot. But make sure that you're comparing, and not that Jarrett's not a great person to compare to, but like one of my learning lessons. I told you guys I joined this like really high level mastermind, and one of the first things the guy said, and this guy's huge, like really successful guy, is someone asked him how he stays humble, and he says that he compares himself to people like Elon Musk, right? So look at those and like realize that all these people had doubts along the way too. And you know, maybe it's you compare yourself to Jarrett for a little while, and then you're on to the next person, keep moving forward. But it's I'm glad to hear that we're inspiring you, man. It's always good to see you. I'm glad you're doing well. And yeah, do you have any other questions, man?
No, I just wanted to know if this guy, it was kind of some shady stuff. Like he was with a franchise, right? And I reached out to some of the other franchises by my house, and he's like, yeah, like my franchise hired like at least 2 different marketers. They've all screwed us over. I was paying for ads. 500 leads I delivered to this guy in 1 month. And
Damn.
he just like, you didn't put my phone number on the website. I was like, what? Fuck out. You know,
Yeah.
I've been running into these people, these business owners like that lately. But like he was a really good guy at first. He was stoked. He made me seem like I was like an awesome person just for what I've done for him, you know. And I felt good. I was feeling good. Like I told everybody about him in my BNI group, like, you know. But I don't know, like maybe what I think it is I got him so busy. He was, you know what I mean. I got him so busy in this short period of time. He had to come up with the excuse like,
Yeah, you get sucked in with these clients sometimes. I mean, you have high hopes, right? It's like it happens to me. It happens to the best of us, right? It's like you want to believe in people, you know, maybe more than they deserve to be believed in, and you know, sometimes you pay the price. But I think what I've learned is that, you know, again, just kind of going through, and sometimes you have to weed through 5, 10 of these guys before you find that one. There's projects out there that I've been working on, you know, for a year, and I still haven't found the right person. And it's like,
he paid me to build the lead
start
gen.
over prospecting this
That's
thing
what's
all over
crazy.
again. Like, let's do it. All right, here we go.
Yeah,
That's what
it's
it
crazy.
is. Because once I find,
you know,
it's gonna be a slot machine, cash register for the rest of the time. That's the thing. Hey, Mark has his hand up.
Yeah, what's up, Mark? Thanks for sharing that stuff.
Yeah.
What do you got, Mark?
Yeah, so I just wanted to ask a question, kind of piggyback on that question that was just asked. He was asking about, you know, can the GM be taken away? And you were talking about how Gmail is super secure and that there's no way. I recently I already had set up a Gmail for the Legion that I have. And so when I went to go set up the GMB through a Craigslist ad, I gave them the login so that they could log into that email address and that they could set up the Gmail through through my email address that I wanted them to. Now it kind of sounds like that's not something you do. So can you
I
kind
would
of
not do
elaborate
that.
on that?
Yeah. I absolutely would not do it that way. You know, like last month, we set up 53 GMBs. And I think the reason that people choose to like share it with Craigslist is they're worried about this footprint, right? So we set up 53 and we had no issues. So I don't know how many you're setting up on a monthly basis, but I would say I wouldn't worry about the footprint while you're like setting up less than maybe 1,500 a month. Okay. If you start setting up more than that, then like start to think about footprints and stuff like this. I think that most of us are so far away from that, it just creates more trouble. And
I think he's asking if the person he has setting it up can change the password and take over that GMB.
yeah, I
I
think
would
they
say
probably
just make
can.
them a manager, or on the GMB.
Yeah, I personally like dealing with all the Craigslist people and the amount of flakes and like just some of these people, it's a challenge for them to accept the postcard and give me the code, right? So trying to have them be the one that sets it up, I just think it complicates things way more than it needs to be, and it sets yourself up for a potential risk. Like if like we always pay the people, right? No, like if they give us like we've had issues and like we're always trying to take the high road. With that being said, we've run into people on Craigslist that just like flip out and we don't really understand why or what's going on. How long until you keep on passing this stuff out? Craigslist is just like, this is the general public, right? And why I believe most people are good. There's like strange people out there with their own issues. And these people are going to be more attracted to $25 or $50 to receive a piece of mail than like somebody wanted to send it to my house. I'm not going to be on Craigslist accepting $50 to have someone send mail to my house, right? You think about the financial situation that some of these people are in, where they're like trolling around Craigslist looking for like, I need $50 because I've got to go eat. Like they're not in the best situations, and you're trusting a very valuable asset to them and something that you're going to invest a lot of money. And I'm not going to do it. They're going to flake. I don't see the point of it. So I would say, Mark, moving forward, don't do that. And then in the short term, change the password in that, maybe set up two-step authentication for that one that you shared on Gmail so that they can't log in, even if they've got the username and password, right? Because Google's kind of weird where if you change the password, then it will ask you for like, hey, what was the previous password? So they're going to have like part of the information, but you can easily block that by just like setting up a two-step authentication for those Gmails. And then moving forward, don't do that anymore. Okay.
Okay, so Chad Kimball, he was telling me that he'll have them set it up with their own email address.
That's
and
right.
He won't even log in ever again, and he's not tripping about
that's
it.
because Chad's doing 10,000 GMBs a month, right? So we're like, he's running a completely different business model where a lot of times he doesn't even build a site, and like
But he can afford to lose a bunch of them.
Okay.
He just works that into the business model. It's easier for him to lose 10% than it is for him to dick around with the emails or whatever.
Okay.
Right. So that I think is a really good business model that he runs. It's not the one that I'm advising you. I think what we do, I like it better. I've got Chad's course. I'm friends with Chad. Chad's an awesome guy. But I would just say, like, if you're trying to run a local lead gen business, then you don't need to think about all the like footprint hiding stuff that Chad's doing, because he's running a different business model where it's like thousands and thousands of GMBs getting set up every month, which I think maybe you're not doing.
No, I'm only at 13. But can I ask you this? Like when you're doing these GMBs, I'm going the route of setting up like job ads for social media managers. And so you're talking about just getting a postcard. Like how are you framing that for someone in a job ad?
There's if you go to the outline, there's a whole summary of what you can post into Craigslist.
Okay, scripts.
Yeah, it's a full script. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
We're at about an hour and 15 minutes. We have 4 more people, well, 3 now, who have questions. So
Let's do it. Mark,
do it.
follow up with me if you have any other questions on that. I'm doing my best to try to hit everyone. So hopefully
Thanks,
we'll have it
Patrick.
covered. Who's next, Jeff?
Okay, well, let's go to Grace real quick, and then we have 2 other questions that came in through Facebook, and we'll answer those.
Hey guys.
Grace, what's up? It's good to see you again.
Hey, good to see you too. Thank you. Sorry to come on late. If this has already been talked about, we can just move on. I'm wondering what the deal is with virtual mailboxes. I've used them for every single one of my GMBs, and I know it's like I feel like I have mixed messages about them from different people, but they've been like the smoothest experience for me so far, which is very limited. But you don't have to ask anyone. It's all in your time frame. It's virtual. I found that like I've had like one GMB suspended, but it was a roofing one, so it kind of makes sense. And then I was able to get it back. And I straight up told them, like, we use a virtual mailbox because we don't have people visit our location or whatever. And they're like, oh yeah, for sure. So maybe you already talked about this, but it's like a super handy thing. I don't know if I should even be encouraging people to do it, but I have encouraged some to do it. And it's just been so easy because you don't have to get anyone to get an address, and it's cheap.
So yeah, I've got like mixed opinions on it. I've done it quite a bit myself, especially when I first started. I think that I lost a higher percentage of GMBs that were done through virtual mailboxes. I think they're certainly better than like a post office box or UPS or something like this.
Okay.
We've lost most of those. So I think it's a good way. You can probably get several years out of it. I think that a postcard to a residential address is kind of like the gold standard.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
But like you got to think about this is it's everything has like pros and cons. There's a balance here. And getting one, like I think that if you choose the right niche and you get a GMB in place, I think it can easily be worth $1,000 a month. Okay. So let's say that the average time a virtual mailbox lasts is like 30 months, right? So that's like $3,000. So like that's easily worth whatever it is, $14 for the 2 months or 1 month that you pay for it to get the stuff set up. I think you're gonna want to probably look on Google Maps and just like look at the actual address that you'll be getting.
Okay.
Like you may not know the suite number, but look to see if there's a lot of businesses that have been set up there with GMBs. And if there's too many, then don't do it. Another thing that I would do is like look for ones that there's also like mailbox rental. And the way I used to do it is I would look for like mailbox rental that was kind of like a mom and pop shop and not some kind of chain store that Google will. Google's not going to most likely go after like one mom and pop shop. But if there's like a national mailbox company, one of the things that we use is we use physicaladdress.com. So maybe this is good for, I know that I think it's Sherry. She travels a lot all over the place and as do we, right? So I pay $8 a month and they scan all my mail and then I even if it's a check, then I can like take a picture of the check. And so it's great. It's $8.
That's super nice.
I tried to send GMBs there and like they all got rejected.
Oh, interesting.
There's a lot of other businesses that were set up and that. The actual service that we were after has been working well, but I would say it's kind of like hit or miss with some of that virtual mailbox stuff.
Okay. So don't put all your eggs in that basket, but it can work out. Yeah. So far it's been super smooth. So, but I'm like, I should probably check in about this and before I get too far in. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're absolutely welcome. Hey, good to see you, Grace.
You too.
Jeff, who do we got next?
Real quick on that, Patrick, if on those virtual addresses that got suspended, were those in sweeps or they just randomly we've lost them along the way?
I think they got randomly picked off along the way. One of them was that that one that you were working with where we had to like try to, we went back and forth with Google and that other company trying to get that one reinstated. So that was one of the ones that was set up that way. When I first started, I thought it was a great way to get GMBs then it seems like Google like really started to lower the hammer more and more.
Yeah.
So
maybe when
I
they
think they
find
just get
out
picked
about
off
that
one by one.
location, or too many businesses do it at that location, then it kind of gets on the radar or something like
Right.
that.
Or, you know, like the way I look at this, and it's just kind of in my own mind, is that there's some kind of like naughty list point system going on there.
Right.
And, you know, you've got like an exact match GMB with like the perfect, you know, like AC Repair Phoenix. That's not like a real business name, but it's what we want our GMB to be.
Right.
But it's also in a virtual mailbox. And it's also where there's like more businesses set up, right? And maybe
That makes
even
sense.
a second GMB, somebody else chose the same perfect name. Like, so you start to get enough strikes, then I think your chances of it getting suspended are greater. And having a virtual mailbox, I think, is kind of one of those strikes. But it's like, if you do everything else, maybe you can kind of like dance in the rain without getting wet, right? So I think that's a possibility.
Like, do you think if you, I'm sorry, do you mind if I quick?
Yeah, go ahead. I was gonna
Do you
just
think-
add to it.
Oh yeah, no, you probably go ahead, Jannery.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, I agree with the virtual mailbox not working. I think one of the things as well is all these major cities. So if you do it,
Okay.
I don't recommend it. I agree with Patrick. I think I would do residential, but try not to do those major cities. Try to do like little suburbs or something like that. Those are not.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, if you're doing
That's a good idea.
Charlotte, that's
Yep.
like a big red flag. But if you
It's a good
do
idea.
small towns that are not that popular,
Okay.
that are around maybe the area that you're trying to target, then it might, I'm not sure, might not.
Yeah.
Get so.
So do you think if you have a client on your GMB, like if you have, so like my 2 virtual mailbox ones have clients, I mean, I guess I don't have them on my GMB, but yeah, they're using it, they're benefiting from it. Does that help? Because I'm posting more, I'm optimizing it. Does any of that help? You know?
I guess I don't understand your question.
I'm sorry, that was confusing. If I'm optimizing those GMBs or being, more active, is that helpful? Like, does that kind of distinguish me from maybe others who are those exact matches, like you said, the perfect storm of all these red flags?
I believe so. I think that you you kind of build a foundation for your GMB. Like, if Google's trying to decide if they trust something and they look and this GMB has 450 reviews, then it looks like a lot of people have used this business. So
Got it.
like
Okay.
you I think it's really important for us to, let's not focus on the minutia of what we're supposed to do as lead generators. Let's think about Google as like a brain that's looking at this problem and say, like, what does it look like to them? What looks organic? What makes this thing look more trustworthy? That will make it stronger, right? These type of things, like having some pictures of what if you had your graphic designer, so a lot of people, when their GMB gets suspended, they're going to have their graphic designer like alter an electric bill or maybe a state license, right? I've heard that a lot of people have had success with that. But you could also add trust signals. What if you had like a van that had your logo on it? Like a designer could easily take a white van and put a logo on it. And it's like, that could just be one of the photos that gets posted by a customer, right? As a part of a review, like things like this. I think let's like strengthen that foundation, right?
Yeah,
so
that's good.
Great.
Thank you.
I love this conversation, but I want to make sure, I know there's one more
let's
person
move
and
on.
we're almost at an hour and a half.
Yeah, there's a couple of more that I'm not sure are going to be answerable, if that's even possible. But Preeti is saying she's been having trouble with the Zapier and lead generated integration after following the directions. If anyone could help, that would be great. Maybe if you want to post in the group a more specific question about what the problem is, like where the hang up is, like maybe we could get it answered that way. Or I
can help Preeti. I can help her.
Oh, thanks, Grace. Yeah,
on the side.
Yeah.
I just did it, so I can walk her through it.
Okay,
that'd be awesome.
It can be a little tricky, and there's specific hang up points. And then the last one that I have is Emmanuel is asking, what's the best way to grow traffic to a site or lead gen, getting to making sites, and is kind of like hinting at like what's the right point to start running ads, if there is a right point to start running ads. to generate traffic. Like maybe you could take that from, hey, I have a 3-page site, like that's good enough, like that, you know, what maybe take it like that, Patrick.
I guess I don't 100% understand the question. I try to avoid running ads at pretty much all costs. You know, I just like, I think, and I'm somebody who has spent a lot of time, and I'm very analytical, learning Google ads. Okay. So I think like, I'm not I think I'm competent with it. Right. And that being said, I think it's an expensive thing to do. That's really complicated, and it's like taxing to manage. So, I love building organic traffic. That's where this business model gets really, really profitable, is when you're not paying for something, but you're selling it, right? And when you start paying for ads and then you've got to manage them, it's just like throws everything out of whack. So I try to avoid that at all costs. Getting traffic is like, well, how can you add value? That's really what the traffic's all about, is like, can you answer and solve problems for people that like related to your niche? What are people searching for? Answer those questions on your site, and kind of Google will start to show up more often, right? One of the things you want to think about too, like with your traffic, is like when you run ads, one of the things that Google considers is the click-through rate. Like how often when somebody shows your ad, are they clicking? And they're doing the same thing organically, right? So this is going back to Google Analytics, is like, you want to get that traffic, make sure that you're not just jamming in a bunch of keywords. I think one of the strategies that is kind of like a hack that not a lot of people are doing is like, let me just share my screen real quick, and let's talk about this. Stop share screen. All right, cool. Okay, you guys can see my screen? Jeff, thumbs up. Or okay, cool. All right. So let's say I do a search. Okay, I've got this one right here for roofing. Let me go back. Okay, that's not going to be the right place. So let's say I search for a roofing company. Okay, so we've got this like SERP that's going to show up eventually when my internet starts to work. Okay, right. So this is an example of an ad, and the quality of how this looks right here, and like how often people are going to click on this is going to affect how much your ad costs. But the same is true down here, right? So when we start looking at like leverage roofing and gutters, like, okay, like I might click on it because it has a lot of reviews. Like, how can we make this more attractive? And one of the, like this one right here is the minimum. So what if this, what if instead of Aztec roofing on its own, what if I put something after this in the GMB, or, you know, maybe it's better done in the organic area. Like this is really keyword rich. What if this said like, instead of Myrtle Beach SC, what if it said like in parentheses, best of Myrtle Beach 2020, 2021, right? In parentheses. That kind of using the parentheses and using numbers is something that has been shown to attract people to clicking on it. So you want to hack into these areas here and pay attention to that stuff, right? You guys, we should all be thinking about click-through rate. We should be thinking about what's called dwell time. So when I open up this website, what can I do on this website to make sure that people are staying here longer? So if I just come here and I leave, that's called a bounce, right? But our bounce rate is something that goes into it. My page is, this is loading slowly, but what they've done here with having this, it's going to attract our eyes, right? It's going to build some credibility. So we put this kind of stuff on a lot of our sites, right? With the stars and all this other stuff. You could have a question right here that people are asking, or an infographic that gets people to pause, right? So all this stuff, along with like building up, like answering the right questions, is going to improve your traffic. And I mean, it's like traffic is almost like ranking, right? How do we improve our ranking? So all the different things that we're doing should be taken like in conjunction with this advice. Jeff, we got any more questions?
That is all at this moment, Patrick. I think we've cleared the queue.
Okay, cool. So I've got one more thing to share with you guys, and then we're going to jump off here. So we've got a couple, obviously we've got some updates coming. I just want to tell you guys how my mindset works with this. You know, there's this really wealthy area in Southern Maryland, right? It's Bethesda, Potomac, Silver Springs. And because of that, it's been really hard for us to get a GMB. When you start like targeting the wealthiest parts of the United States, $50 or $100 to have a postcard mailed becomes less and less attractive. Okay, so going back to this, where I know that if we get some GMBs in these places, I think they're going to be worth thousands of dollars a month for us. So, you know, my wife and I are driving around the country in an RV, and in effort to land this stuff, we're like, hey, we went to Harper's Ferry, where had the awesome experience of meeting Lou and Harry. Like, it's so cool to meet some of these people. Lou was kind enough to buy me dinner. Harry was nice, but he didn't buy me anything. Still love the guy. But that being said, we were close to this part in Maryland where we needed to be. So we diverted our route, and we made sure that we went through, and I had, we went out for lunch in Potomac, and I was like, I'm going to find people here to get me GMBs. That was the whole reason we're going. So I talked to my waitress, and it was a little bit of awkward conversation for a few seconds. I'm like, hey, where do you live? Explain this. She's like, what are you trying to do? Explain it to her. Like, being in person makes this a lot easier. Turns out she's lived in like the Potomac area her whole life. Her family's from there. She's got friends and stuff. She's social. So she has people all over the area, and she's going to get us a bunch of GMBs. And now I'm not some like possibly creepy person from Craigslist that's trying to mail something to this person's house. I've talked to this person in real life. And I just want to make sure that you guys are using, like, think outside the box for this stuff. Getting these GMBs is worth a lot of money, and do what you have to do. Like, you don't want to obviously like do unethical things, but like, do what you need to do while staying inside of that ethics framework to find a way to do this, right? If this means that you take a vacation to somewhere where you haven't been, like, it's going to be worth it. That vacation, hey, that can maybe be written off because this is like, you're going there for this purpose. I'm certainly writing off the lunch that I had there, as well as the gas and like our trip to that area, because that was all about work for me. Right. So I just want to make sure that you guys are thinking about it, think outside the box. Virtual mailboxes is one of 1,000 ways to do it. What's not acceptable and what's not going to work is just like, I can't find anyone on Craigslist. That's the end of the game. That's certainly not how it ever works for me. It's like, I'm like, if I can't go through this door, I'm going to go through the window. I'm going to go through the chimney. I'm going to find a way to get to the other side of this. So that's always been my mindset with this. And when I look and I, you know, listen to people, like, that seems to be a difference. Like, just even in the language, when people say, man, I lost this GMB, this isn't really working. Like, that's never going to be like, Jeff, you've known me now for a year. And can you imagine that being the end of it for me? There's no chance that's the end of it. Like, it's just like, it's not happening. And I've noticed that same characteristic in the people that I've associated, not only within this group and in other groups, but in my life. I've noticed that same kind of mentality for people that share that are successful, right? There's just no stopping them. Like, it's like it's already happened. That's back at the beginning of the call. That was what Jarrett had made that decision. It's like that moment where things flipped. He was successful. It was just like the results hadn't caught up with him yet. And if there was a way to look inside someone's brain and see that decision be made, of like it's already happened, right? So if you're not there and you're kind of like dancing on the line of uncertainty of whether this can work, or you can do it, or you're capable of it, you know, I shared this before. The person who says I can and the person who says I can't, they're both usually right. So just make that decision to like, it's already happened. I'm going to find a way. You know, there's another famous, I'm big on these sayings, another famous saying, when you want to breathe as bad as you want to be successful, then you'll be successful. That's kind of how it's been for me, where it's like, I'm going to do this. Like, when I was playing poker for a living, someone would sit down at my table, they'd be a terrible player, and maybe I'm not getting good cards. I would sit there 18 hours waiting for my opportunity. I'm going to find a way to like take advantage of the situation here. I'm like, this is like too good. I'm like, it's going to happen. It's like it's already happened. It's just like, when, right? So I just want to kind of leave you with that. So, all right, you guys, we've got to see. So 2 weeks from now, Jeff and I think what we're either going to have to, we have an obligation on Wednesday night with our new mastermind. So we're not going to be available for the call. So I think maybe we can move it to Tuesday or something like that. I'll update that, but I just want to share that with you guys. So that is going to be July 14th, I believe is the day. So that July 14th, we may move it to the 13th or the 15th or something. I don't know. We'll come up with a strategy so that you guys still have that call. So, all right, we've got a week. Let's do what we need to do so that we can create some wins in the next 7 days, right? Let's break this business down to like 7-day sprints. So what do you need to do? If you're somebody that hasn't shared a win on one of these calls, like what do you need to do? And look, it doesn't need to be the win that like Jarrett says, where he's like, hey, I'm hitting 20K for the first time, right? It could be, hey, I did this. You know, I haven't built a site ever. And I got my first site published. There's no judgment here. There's nothing to be ashamed of. Everybody's on their own page at their own place. But if you want things to move forward, then over the next 7 days, for yourself, wherever you are, take the actions that are necessary that create a win. And I'd love to hear from you next week. All right, you guys have a great week, and we'll see you in 7 days or in the group. Take care, my friends.
Thanks.
Great
Patric.
tonight.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, bye-bye, everybody.